Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the Australian Tabletop Wargaming Network. As usual, I'm ScottyD, and tonight we've got the Sydney Autumn GT Tournament preview. And we've got Alex, one of my good mates, who is the TO for it. How you doing, brother?
No, we're not mates. I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, going well, man. Going well. Bit tired, but that's, some nights with the 2-year-old. But need I say more to the other parents in chat? And speaking of chat, welcome in everybody in chat. We've got DGJ, Stork, Glaves, and Basil. Welcome in, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. So, for those of you who haven't joined us for a tournament preview before, basically, we do these live over on our Twitch channel, and then we upload them to YouTube because we understand that some people, might be able to catch the full preview, or maybe you come in halfway through. So you're actually able to catch all of the info ahead of the tournament before we can, actually do the coverage for the tournament this weekend, which I'll be doing. I'll be present. It's at Padstow RSL once again. Great venue, so, it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time. So, and Glaves gassing us up in chat, of course. Gassing
Alex. Looking one. Which one?
Well, in the order that he said it, he's talking about you first, and then Scotty.
Oh yeah, you guys look at this good-looking wrist and Scotty. Okay, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, my
bad. But yeah, to start off, Alex, I know you've been on a whole bunch of stuff with us here at the ATWN, but maybe for those who haven't seen you on stream before or heard a bit about you, why don't you just give a bit of a quick introduction about yourself, a bit of background of how long you've been in the hobby, what armies you play, what you do in the scene, all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, we'll go really quick high level. I started roughly around COVID. I've been in the scene since then. Been an absolute fiend for Warhammer. Shout out to Feud if he's on here, because he's the guy that got me started into doing tournaments just by daring me to do it. He just said do it, and within 2 weeks I had the event up, and it sold out in 2 hours. It was insane. The biggest GT we had in Sydney for a long time because we didn't have GTs in Sydney. That was great. And now I'm stuck doing this shit. So yeah, thanks, Feud. Appreciate it. Yeah, look, I played with AdMech, I played with Sally's, and I play some good old Tyranids. I've taken them overseas as well, which has been good fun. Ultimately, I'm a big proponent on the community and building that up and growing and seeing it all grow. I've had my little gremlins in the Chadmech grow into these and blossom into these beautiful monsters. So it's nice to see other people turn into beautiful monsters and blossom as well.
Yep, 100%. And then Lost Crusader in chat commenting, finally an event where first is actually up for grabs.
Yeah, I know, no dump trucks allowed. How good's that? See you later, Jordan.
Yeah. For context for everyone, Jordan McGregor is in New South Wales. He's been absolutely dominating with Imperial Knights recently. So that's where the basis of Lost Crusaders comment is from, because Jordan isn't in attendance for this one. So it means
it's not even just that, right? So there's 4 people last year that won GTs in Sydney. And those people are myself, which is 2. There was Brody Milton, who also won 2. There was Nathan Princey, who won 2. And there's Jordan, who won 3. And all 4 of us can't play. Princey, unfortunately, he'll be there for the ping pong tournament, which we'll talk about it in a second. But unfortunately, he's got a date with what's her name? What's the Dua Lipa in concert afterwards? Not that he's going, but someone else is going in his family, so he has to look after the kids.
Yep.
So yeah, none of us are there. So the winners of all of last year's GTs in Sydney and not present. Maybe I'm missing someone and one another GT. I'm not too sure. Can't recall. So apologies if I have missed anyone there. But at least multi GT winners. That would be these would be the 4.
Crippen's chat has said Greg's not in attendance. That's correct. Greg isn't in attendance. I also believe Princey. Yeah, Princey won Gonghammer, so no, Princey's not playing either. I'm just trying to think who else.
He did Gonghammer and he won another one right before.
Yeah. So absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. It means it's an open field.
There you go. Yeah, good old Greg got the Dice Arcade win. There you go.
So yeah.
Tassie, I think. Oh yeah, he won Tassie as well. Yeah, Princey. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Yeah. So lots going on. I believe Pulse is playing though. So there's
Oh,
gonna
who
be
cares? Fine. It's just
uh
it's false. Who cares? No, I'm kidding.
yeah. All right, cool. So next up, why don't you just kind of share a bit of your motivations behind running events for the community in general, as well as like the vision you have, like kind of not necessarily like super long term, but like for your events, like what you want to see them become and what you want to include in them, and kind of your core values that you try to embody at the tournaments.
Oh, big question. The whole conception of this was just to make the community better. I've had a lot of stuff in my life kind of lead me towards this pathway in general, and ultimately it's around just making the best of this as possible. So, I think we have a great community. I think we have an amazing community, to be honest. And whatever we can do to feed into it gets brought back to us, tenfold. So the more I do this, I find the more we get a stronger community, healthy community, happier community. We're all interacting together. You've been there, Scotty, where we see these giant succulent Chinese dinners that we do as well, and everything else that we do. And it all starts from just this community. So I'm doing it for the community because it's great fun. I love it. It's amazing. That's realistically why I do it. It doesn't really go further than that.
Yep.
The other parts that you mentioned were, what was the second half?
Kind of like the vision that you have, like where do you want your
Yeah.
events to end up?
Realistically, I think they're in a pretty good spot where everyone's kind of happy, enjoying themselves. There's minimal issues, right? I mean, and that's what we want. We want it to be kind of like this self-managed thing. I just want a home for people, right? Like if people want to spend their weekend, spend $40 a day, to play with their mates, and enjoy themselves, better their skill, perfect their craft, use the models that they've spent all these hours painting, all this other stuff. And I want to really just celebrate that. So we'll talk about that in the awards because we have a few different awards that we're going to be doing and celebrating as well for people. But we really just want to, my vision is that this is an amazing event that people can come to, all my events, hopefully, fingers crossed. People can come to. It feels very relaxed while being competitive, similar to what we had at Masters. That was an event that I helped Greg run by organizing all the back end. And if we can do that and make us be playing at top tier competitive level while being a very relaxed and enjoyable nature, that's going to be, that's goals.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I can tell you, you're already well on the way there for sure.
Awesome.
And then
And the interview, we're
done. And then the last part was like the core values of your events.
Good question. I don't think I've looked at it too deep on the level of that. It's realistically just, I kind of, for lack of, repeating myself for the community, by the community, trying to make ourselves perfect our craft and be the best we can be in the thing. You'd notice that whenever I speak to people, or maybe you wouldn't notice actually, because usually the mics are off, but whenever I spoke to people, as example, when I did the ATWN stream at the start of this month, I would walk up to them and say, look, this is something that you should be really excited for because this is something that you get to memorialize. So be your best self, showcase the best part of you. If you see something that you found was a really amazing and playful tactic, talk about that, unpack it, just project the best version of you can possibly be. And that goes to everyone, not just on the stream, that goes to everyone. And I think that we can do that. And I think we generally can. I know for a fact that we've had, so many people, go on this journey and change as people to become better people, better internally, but also better at the game at the same time. And that's really beautiful. So yeah, tear to my eye, Scotty. Yeah.
No,
and core values leaks out for the boys, apparently, according to Glaze Bay. You shouldn't have said that, Scotty.
No, I think it's good to talk about the values, though. I think it's important because it means that everyone can be like, okay, these are the values that each TO might have. that they come from their perspective for their events and go, this is the lens that I'm organizing through. This is the values that I want to bring to the community and instill within the community at the events that I'm running. And I think that that goes a long way when it comes to shaping the community. And I think that, yourself and a lot of the other New South Wales TOs have had a massive impact on the players in the scene by actually having really solid core values like that, right? So that's kind of why I like asking that, because I think it's a super important thing to recognize and be able to actually go, no, this is what the values of the event are and why we're running them. And, the impacts, they do take time from having those core values of events, but we've seen it over the past 3-4 years in New South Wales, and the community can be a testimony to that actually coming to fruition.
100%.
Yeah, so let's jump in to a little bit of the nitty gritty. We're going to kind of speed pace this for you guys, because based on your guys' feedback, which I always appreciate, guys. If you guys ever have feedback, please let us know. We're going to jump into talk.
All guys, don't listen to him. He was just trash. No, I'm kidding.
We're just gonna.
I'm drunk.
We're gonna just briefly talk about the tournament format itself, the number of players in attendance, tournament format, missions, terrain, all that fun stuff. So I've got the players pack up on screen for you guys. Basically, the schedule's pretty straightforward. It's going to be a 9 a.m. start on Saturday, 10 a.m. start on Sunday. If you've been at a Padstow GT, it's basically the same as every single other one.
I'm keeping it simple because the structure works and I don't have to think about it. Basically, so hey, if it ain't broke, I'm just going to keep beating the dead horse.
Yeah, for sure. And it makes sense too. Like, why alter a schedule if there's no need to?
No, exactly.
Yeah. The one thing I would love to get you to share a bit about is the inclusion of how you're doing the pairings process and then the placings process as well. Because this is the first time I've kind of seen something like this in a player's pack.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think us as TOs, we kept forgetting to put this in. I think it wasn't like it was an intentional thing to miss out. We're just doofuses, I guess. I don't know. We're too busy making our packs look pretty, and I'm an example of that, right? I never did this, so I've just very simplified this players back out. Look, I've tested out a few different things, and I had a really well structured one that worked a lot of the time, especially when you had higher elo skill players at your events, which was based on opponents' win percentage, then battle points, and obviously wins first. And that worked out well, but there are some instances where it doesn't. And I thought, instead of doing the manual legwork where there is potential where not everyone on the highest caliber is going, this actually just works better. And it's what's happening is you get your wins. Obviously, round one is random straight away. You get your wins after that, and then it's completely just random within there. So you might get, the best player there. You might get the, a regular player, who's also on the same amount of wins as you. It just happens. I will be doing one thing as well, though, where if I do notice that someone is on the highest amount of wins and that they pair down, so the highest placing in the bracket, and they somehow pair down into someone else, I would try and avoid that, and I'll do a manual repairing for them, because that can be a bit of a feels bad, especially on round two. We'll see that sometimes where you had, look, Chris Wright won his game, good, I don't have to verse him. Oh wait, he's dropped into me. What? I only got 14 points last game. How does this work? So we'll try and avoid that as much as I can, but I didn't want to write that all in there. Just keep it simple and up to the BCP gods, but at least it's still, playing based on your wins and everything else. The placings process at the end, what I want to do is obviously Swiss final round, because at that point you're versing, basically your peers. And I have been doing this ever since the end of last year. So all of my GTs basically from 2024, but I try to have a top 4 cut. And from there's locked placings, so that way, if you're now battling for first place and you lose, and it's a great game, but you don't get as many battle points as you normally would because you're both battling each other to deny as much as possible, you're not going to drop all the way down in 10th place. you've beaten the gauntlet. You've made it there. You've earned your rights and your victory. And if your only loss is the person who comes first place, right at the end, and you keep it tooth and nail, I think you deserve to have a locked place in the top four.
Yep.
So I do that, and just to make things a lot more enticing, inviting, and easier for everyone, and they don't have that feels bad.
Yep, for sure. For sure. It should be, I've even done the top four as well. I think we did it at Gonghammer.
We did. Yeah, we did. And that was with the old way, which did work amazingly well at Gonghammer. The pairings were actually really tight. You found that nearly every single round there was a really good, evenly matched game. So that was a great example of how the old pairings way worked. But it doesn't always work. So I think just to remove the volatile, aspect of it, I'm just going to test this out for a bit and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds
really trying to improve and tweak and change things just slightly, just to see if we can better the events.
Yep, 100%. All right, then we come to the missions and all that kind of stuff, and there's some fun stuff included in here as well, which is super important. But round one, we've got firstly, important to note, 2 hours 45-minute rounds, pretty standard for events in New South Wales at this point. Like every event's basically 2 hours 45 minimum.
Yep. And I explained how we go through that as well with the clocks afterwards and how you should set up your time.
Yeah.
Later in the pack, but we can go into that later.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just check, because pre-stream you were just adding all the mission stuff to the terrain layouts, correct? Just in the later down in the pack? Yeah, perfect.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yes, they are. So we'll leave the actual missions until we actually look at the deployment maps for everybody. But the other thing we'll note, an hour for lunch. So you've got plenty of time for lunch on both days. And then after lunch on day one, you got an interesting thing for us, brother. Why don't you talk a bit about it?
No, I'm all right. So look, there's been a long-standing feud. I don't know how to explain it. It basically, there's been a lot of trash talk between Nathan Princey, or Princey, we call him Princey, right? Because we're all racist, and Kirby. And from there, they're competing to see who's a better ping pong champion. So we've actually dedicated 15 minutes for them to finally settle the score. We're going to have it at the GT because why not? That's the easiest way to get people to come. We're going to have that. We're going to have everyone seeing it. We're going to have everyone watching, interacting. It's going to be great. Not only that, though, the best part is that there's actually a other little thing which I'll make as an announcement once I get onto the at the event, where you can, if Kirby wins, should he win, he's very confident that he will win this. Should that happen, you can actually challenge Kirby. Each one person per round can challenge him to a quick best of 3, and the ping pong table will be there, still ready to go, to see what happens. And if you can nab a trophy, because I do have a trophy for this, for ping pong challenge winner at this event. So yeah, super serious event, guys.
Yeah,
serious.
No, that's awesome. I actually, to be honest, I love the inclusion of it, because it's something that just can bring everybody together. Just after lunch, it's nice and chill. You don't have to rush into your round straight away. It's like, yeah, cool. We'll just watch these two ping a ball around for 15 minutes and just go, and we can all just chat with our mates and all that kind of stuff.
And that's another reason why I like the lunches as well, because while having more time to eat is just better, just especially, to make sure you get your food in time. I also love the fact that everyone, you see it at lunch, everyone's sitting around enjoying, talking, socializing. And again, me, big proponent of the community. We do the same thing when we go out for our dinners afterwards and everything else. So I love having that extra time there so people can actually just socialize and really just have a fun event. It's not just about the competitive part, it's about the social part too.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So yeah, and then half-hour reward ceremony and pack up makes sense. And that's all good. Saturday you finish just after 7, 20 past 7, and then Sunday you finish around 5:30 at most.
So again, you see there's a 20-minute break in between round 2 and 3. Most people do either 0 time or 15 minutes. I did an extra 5 minutes, 5 minutes finishing later, going from 7:15 to 7:20 isn't huge. And that gives us more social time, everything else, and we can set up and take our time and just feel a lot more relaxed before you have your final round, as a third round at least for day one.
Yeah, definitely agree. And also when we look at the train maps, that also comes into play as well. Having that extra little bit of time during that break, it means that if you need to swap over the table, you've got the time and you're not taking that out of your 2 hours 45 to do so.
Yep, spoiler alert, you'll have to change 2 rooms. That's it.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump into talking about the missions with the associated terrain layouts. So you're using GW terrain on GW layouts. Keep it nice and simple for everybody, which is great. Round 1 is Linchpin, Crucible of Battle with Smoke and Mirrors on layout 8.
Yep, that's it. Nice and simple. This one here is designed because you can firstly hold your expansion quite safely. However, the middle is still a fight. It's interesting where you can stage behind the middle pretty easily, but once you hit that objective, it's easier for them to get you lines and attack you. So you are fighting for that. So what it becomes is a stamina game, seeing if you can push off there, or alternatively, you have to look at other creative avenues to push them off their natural expansion. And you're doing things like that. So you're either playing for the middle, defending natural expansion. You get a bit of everything there. Linchpin's great for that as well, because obviously the way that the points can stack up. Smoke and Mirrors is nice just because it gives a little bit of extra play. Layout 8's interesting. It's a bit different.
Yeah, it is. It is, definitely. I think 8 is one you don't normally see played when you look at GW events.
No, a lot of GW layouts with the mission combos I found are just way too open. Which I'm testing this one out. I want to see it. I'd love feedback afterwards, guys, as well. I've actually had pretty good feedback with these ones as well. They feel like they can play the game, especially you can see the top left of that area. You can actually surprisingly hide quite a bit there, and then you have a really good natural staging to get to your natural expansion too. But you have actually a lot of safety in your deployment zone. If you're playing the red player as an example there, the only part where you're realistically going to get hit is if you're deployed on the line anywhere on the bottom half of that line on your deployment line.
Yeah.
So just don't deploy on the line and you're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because you, with the positions of the ruins in the middle, you can actually shoot through across both the axis, just straight shot.
Exactly.
So
There's a straight drop down, so you have to watch out for that. However, every other part of it is full blocking because these are ruin bases that are 2 inches, less than 2 inches in height. You can move through them, obviously, without impediment for anything in your army. However, they still are natural line of sight blocks if you're not touching.
yeah, for sure. All right. Mission, well, round 2, I should say. The mission is Terraform on Hammer and Anvil with Inspired Leadership. Basically, this mission pack's version of Chilling Reign. Again, on layout 8, so you don't actually have to swap terrain layouts between rounds 1 and 2.
No, and I wanted to make sure that I had Inspired Leadership on a map where it's harder for you to push outside of your deployment zone and be safe. So that way it gives a bit of a, tactics. Maybe you're just going to be bunkering up on your natural expansion again, just holding that so that way, Chaos Knights, Tyranids can't kick you off. Or maybe pushing, who knows? But it's, bit of a different one. Terraform I chose because I have to do like one hard one, right? Each time. I didn't want to do this round 3. So Terraform's now, didn't do Burden of Trust this time, didn't do, some of the other ones this time.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. I mean, I like it because, yes, you've got Inspired Leadership in there, but it's also like you've got a harder primary mission, like it's a lot more complex than, say, Linchpin, but then you've got a simpler mission rule. Whereas the previous one, you had Smoke and Mirrors. It was Smoke and Mirrors from memory? Yes, which is strat reserves, right? And so it's adding that complexity with a relatively simple primary mission. So there's that dichotomy.
My favorite part about this one is that it's Terraform, and while you don't really have to play for the middle as much unless you really need to primary deny in the first mission, while being the same layout now, it's Terraform, you kind of want to be aggressive and actually do the action on the middle as soon as possible and survive. So that becomes a bit interesting. Do you only just go for your safe one, or are you pushing that one to get early points? How does it work?
Yep. You've got choices to make.
I love the ritual, Shema. Just to let you know, I do love the ritual. I've got a few maps ready to go with that too.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah. And I enjoy putting in packs as well at times. So there's a few TOs that do like to use it, but here in New South Wales, it's not we like to, I think, as Alex was saying, we like to spread around the harder ones like Terraform, Ritual, Supply Drop. So there's not just multiple hard ones in a pack. You've actually got like, okay, there is one instance of Ritual. It's not, you've got Ritual and Terraform that you have to deal with in the same weekend kind of thing. I think that's kind of the principle a lot of the New South Wales TOs have kind of adopted. Would you agree, Alex? Or what are your thoughts?
yeah, I think the players are also snowflakes. So myself included, I'm the player, right? So we like our simple missions. Then again, I actually do really like. I honestly give me a pack where you have just Terraform, the Ritual, and Supply Drop, and I'm actually like happy. I think it's fun. I bathe in the chaos, but yeah,
Yeah.
others not so much.
And then Glaves, of course, going unexploded ordnance when? Question mark. Never.
Fucking never. Like, yeah, that one's first. That one's never happening because it is so annoying to like Ritual. It's easy enough to place, map down or at least tokens. Moving ones each time, especially on WTC, I think it's worse. On GW, maybe it's okay, but you're always going to want to move it where the ruins are anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And half of us also, obviously, like a lot of us, I'm using Tip Top Terrain, but other people as well use I've forgotten the name for it right now.
Spear Tip Studios, I believe, might be the name you're looking
Yeah.
for.
And then with Spear Tip Studios, as an example, the bases are locked in with the terrain, so it'd be very, very, very difficult to move the mats in the areas, and it's beautiful terrain set, and we don't want to limit the events that run that either.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Alrighty. So, moving on to round number 3. The simplest one for the day to finish it off. Take and hold, search and destroy, prepared positions on layout 3.
Yep, nice and simple. This has a good amount of line of sight blocking in your deployment zone, has a good amount of staging. You can also hold your natural expansion. You can also stage to push the natural expansion. It's just, this is like classic Warhammer. This is the best user case I could find for layout 3 as well, and I wanted to do it with something a bit different.
Yep, for sure. Definitely agree with that. I don't think there's much more we can add because that's straightforward as, which is what you want for round 3, right?
Yeah, I also picked prepared positions on this one because it's search and destroy, which means you can't end up on an objective with a turn 1 drop in.
Yep.
Yeah. You're playing angles instead.
Yeah, for sure. All right, round 4. First round of day 2. You got Purge the Foe, Hammer and Anvil, Fog of War on layout 1.
Yep. Layout 1's good fun. I think it's the most popular one. Like everyone kind of likes it. So good to have. Good for melee. Good for shooting as well. Because you can see there, like you can hold the expansions. You definitely can. But if they have fast shooting and preference to fast shooting, they can still get angles to get to you. They are obviously overexposed then though, so then you get the nice trade of, hey, I'm melee now, I hit you. So it ends up just being a really good mission for us to push and kill. And great, I picked Purge the Foe to make that also a bit more accommodating for everyone, so they can play it that way.
Yeah.
Do you go out onto the thing? Will you get hold more? Yes, no, not sure. If you go out there, are you going to give them kill 1? Are you going to give them kill more? If they go out there, are you going to be able to get kill more? There's a whole bunch of different things that you can kind of work out there.
Yeah, for sure. I also think on Hammer and Anvil deployment specifically, you kind of see players just go, I'm going to throw just some heavy bricks at the middle because I know they're relatively well protected from shooting. And so they throw them there and the center just becomes an absolute quagmire of combat and shooting and just so much going on there. And then the outskirts is just kind of like smaller skirmishes. So yeah.
Yeah, that can happen. Yeah. It'd be interesting with the Purge the Foe though. So it's it does definitely give a good preference to being a bit more safe if you're not going to hold more anyway. As long as you're not giving them hold more.
Yep. 100%. 100%. And then the last mission is Scorched Earth, Search and Destroy, Raise Banners on layout 1.
Yeah. This one here is probably, it's weird. It's like my least favorite one that I did, but also it was like the most requested. So I just did it because people requested layout 1 search. harder to hide. Like you actually look, you can hide in your deployment zone very easily. If you have scouts as well, things are fantastic. If you have infiltrate, things are fantastic as well. And you can move through a lot of that stuff, but you are kind of bunkered. And because you're bunkered, your first turn is probably, quite reserved, and you're just like pushing out and extending. And because of that, I think Scorch is a good way to play, as well as raised banners, just to get a bit more simplified scoring.
Yeah, I also think it's great for round 5 as well, because you're able to easily hold your natural expansion. I think I was watching one of the games. Chicken Coop, thanks for the tier 1 resub. Thank you so much for that with Prime. Awesome to have you joining us as well. And then also saying in that, excited to turn 1 advance and charge a big boy through layout 1 Search and Destroy. Oof.
Chicken Coop will 100% get a 6 on the advance roll as well, and then roll like an 11 or a 12 on the charge.
Yeah.
Every time without fail turn 1. It's going to get that rampage or rampaging.
Reminds me of the game I had against one of my mates.
Twice when we burst. It's only happened twice. Which is out of 2 times.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I think Search and Destroy is very non-committal, and I was watching War Games Live this weekend cover the Rocky Mountain Open, one of the FLG events, and they actually had Search and Destroy on layout 1. And it was like, both players were like, I'm safe holding mine, getting 10 points. You're safe holding yours, getting 10 points. They really didn't commit to the game. And I think it was Tyranids into Custodes. They didn't commit to the game until turn 4. Like, just nothing really was going on. The secondaries didn't happen where they had to go out and kill a lot of stuff. It was just a very non-committal game for the first, 3 turns. And they got through it in, an hour.
Love that. If we can finish early, amazing. Let's do that round 5, 100% then. I've done the right thing.
Yeah.
Get out of here by 3 p.m, guys. Let's do it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I like this mission for round 5. It means that you can get, if you play well, you can get a really high score to finish off the event, which is always a great way to feel, right? Even if you lose the game, if you get 70 plus points, you're happy. At least I think so. But yeah, so that's all the missions and the layouts. Let's have a look at some of the rules you got in place. Of course, you've mentioned a few things, and we've got prize support there as well, so we can kind of hit both of those.
Yeah, definitely. So unique game rules used. Obviously, like everything GW, the rules there for queues, everything else, slates. They're all in effect. But we're also using the WTC charge rules for Ruins Guide, so you can't do crazy magic boxes. Generally, not so much of an issue when others are running WTC Ruins for GW layouts, because they're using a box. Whereas we're using very, very, very authentic, amazing, beautiful GW ruins. And we just want to make it so that we have quite a bit of a team presence here. We're all used to it. And this is something that's comfortable as well for us to play the game, in a way that feels a lot more balanced and fair. So yeah, we use that.
For sure. And then prizes are on offer. We've got top 3, so your podium. You've got Renaissance Person, which you've included best sports in this one as well. I'd love to hear the thoughts behind that.
You know me, because I'm a lover of the community. I want to include that. It's basically, I want to find the best version of everyone. Right? This is the top tier person right now. This is the person we should kiss on their feet. Scotty, you'll be there first kissing it. No, but realistically, I want them to encapsulate the best parts of 40k, and I don't think it's just painted or placings. I think it's also best sports. So I want to capture that and have that, and I think that is a true, Renaissance man. They're the true, person we should all aspire to be.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely agree with that. I love the idea of Renaissance Person in general. I pulled it across from the States when I was first running events and stuff, and I love the idea of it. So I love that the community has picked it back up again and is bringing that back in. I just love it, and I love the inclusion of sports as well. You've got your best painted and best sports as well. You've got a wildest list, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I want people to, look, people have fun for different reasons, right? So I really love the idea of people playing for the reason they want to play, and some people love the whole shock factor with their lists or running stupid things, or and it works for them as well. Sometimes they do amazing results. You know, you got Simon from up north, and
Mm.
his walkies are just like it's just cans, killer cans everywhere. And it's awesome. It's so unique and different. It's really wild, but he does really well with it as well. But it's him, and it's so like you just it's just so intrinsically him.
Mm.
Um, and I love that, and I think we should celebrate that stuff as well. It's not just about playing the meta list; it's just about playing you. You're playing your list, So yeah, that's why I do that one.
Yeah,
And then
nice.
obviously, lastly, champion of the year, which suggests that I won't be doing ping pong champion in any other of the events, but maybe I'll do something else fun as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, we'll skip past model requirements. Sportsmanship conduct, as you've got there, be the best version of yourself. The one thing I'll point out, we don't have any Tau players in attendance, so you don't have to give anybody hugs. And then the last one I'll let you do, Alex, because this is funny to me.
Yeah, if you're versing Sam Lemon, all missions are scorched earth. So just keep that in mind. Whenever he comes down, he stops becoming a scrub. He's gonna come back down to like real 40k, Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that there's I don't know why. I just always have to have like a little bit of a joke in this. Yeah, that's why.
Yep.
I do also want to note something that isn't in this pack. Made an announcement for just recently. We're gonna have a buy sell swap at the event. So I'm not taking any fees out of it. Nothing like that. All the money that if models that you sell goes to you. So just package them up, make it neat and nice. We'll set up a stall. We'll have it all there. There's stuff that you've been wanting to offload. Feel free to bring it. Might as well do that. And if it ends up being quite popular, I'm going to start doing that as a regular thing at my events as well, just because this is the best time for us all to get together anyway. So it's an easy time for us to do buy sell swaps. And to be honest, some people don't even buy things secondhand just for the fact that they have to wait a week to get it. So this is a good way to avoid that. So yeah.
Yep, 100%. The only other thing that's important to note, you've got the chess clock rules for how things should be worked out. Recommend players read the players pack, unless there's anything you want to note from that.
No, it's just the way I've written it. So I've done this for all my events realistically. 10 minutes to be dedicated to your warm introductions, discussing armies, getting ready in general. 5 minutes organizing secondaries and roll-offs for attack and defender, which is more than enough time. And 2 hours and 30 for the actual game. So once you're hitting that deployment, split it an hour 15 each. All note that everyone, if they don't know cadence for clocks, if you're the one rolling dice, you should be on your time. That's the way it works. So if you can do that, great. If you guys are obviously like, I'm pretty loose with it to a degree. Like if you're just doing it based on each person's turn, so people roll saves on the opposite people's time, that's fine. Like if you both agree on that and you're doing it, but don't do it where you start doing that and then you just change it halfway through the game. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
It feels off. So just work out a rule with that and then go from there. And if you can't work it out, then just go by the default and whenever you're rolling dice, do it on your time. Good practice to have. I will have a bunch of chess clocks at the event again. That's been pretty popular. A lot of people have been using them at the events now. They find it's very handy, the fact that I've just got them all readily available and accessible. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it's good to just have the community used to playing on clocks as well. I think a lot of players are now just getting used to the idea because clocks at events are becoming a lot more frequent. They're getting more familiar with the rules, so it's not as necessarily uncommon that chess clocks are in use. And I'll also note that if you're playing, if you end up playing on stream over the weekend, you are playing on clock as well. So that one's or be aware of that as well. If I ask you to play on stream, you'll be on clock. So that way we're able to get through the game in a timely manner and such as well, right? We want to present a pleasurable viewer experience for everybody.
And we want to give people the time that they actually deserve, right? Sometimes it does happen where someone could use up an hour and 45 minutes of the time. And if you're not using the clock, well, you just only played 45 minutes. And as a result of that, you haven't played the best version of 40k you could have in that game. because you've had to rush and do things like that. So it just gives a better avenue for you guys to have a fair game and you're using equal amounts of time. That's the reason to do it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so with that format out of the way and missions and all that, let's get into the fun stuff, the meta. Let's switch over and start talking about where everything has landed. There are 46 players in attendance, which is awesome. You know, your target was 50, you got 46, which is really solid.
Yeah, almost got it. I mean, we had 3 drops right at the end, so we hit the 49 and we just had 3 drops. I'm happy with that. I didn't want to do like a crazy big one this time anyway. Initially I was thinking I can obviously capacity for 70, but I really liked the way that we did Masters where we had so much space and we had the tables in between for everyone. We really wanted this to just be like a chill, accessible event. We just had a huge 8-man teams event. So I'm really loving the idea of this just being just a real good fun time and everyone just feels really comfortable and relaxed and not in each other's face or anything like that. It's going to be great. The amount of space you'll see that you have here compared to example 8-mans is just huge.
Yeah.
It's very different, so you'll be really happy and excited there. But yeah, let's go into this.
Yeah, so starting off with the Space Marine Super Faction, there are 11 players in attendance with 23.9% of the player base. There are 4 Blood Angels, 2 Dark Angels, 2 Salamanders, 1 Death Watch, 1 generic Space Marines, and 1 Space Wolves.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because this is the first GT that's running obviously the new slate. So really excited about that. It's going to be really cool to see how the meta changes. But the funniest part is Blood Angels technically, well, their most popular list did just receive a nerf. However, they got some light breathed into them thanks to some people overseas playing Angelic Inheritors and I think doing some really really good stuff. So yeah, cool to see that still pumping and doing really well.
Yeah, for sure. I love seeing Salamanders out to play. We'll actually look at a Salamanders list.
Yeah, they've been because obviously I've been playing it quite a bit, and you've seen it on the team yourself. Well, Discord, I'm a fiend with it. But then not just myself. Now Sherman has been on it. Ronald's been on it. And they've been playing it to quite a good amount, and they've been playing it more than me, to be honest. So while I may have initially helped with the initial conception of the list, they've made their own babies and made it really great. We've had Queensland playing Firestorm last weekend, so it's also all changing. It's really good for my playing boys.
Yep, for sure. And then of course my favorites, the Death Watch, are seeing some representation, which is nice. I love seeing it.
Yeah, I submitted you a list, Scotty. That's why you're playing round 1 on stream. One day we'll do it.
One day we will. I with some other stuff going on, I might have to change my timelines on things, but it will happen. Round 1, I will play on stream at one of Alex's GTs. It'll happen with Death Watch.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, getting into Imperium Super Faction, we've got 13 players with 28.3% of the meta. 6 Adeptus Custodes, 4 Astra Militarum, 2 Grey Knights, 1 Imperial Knights.
Yeah, because those are out with their new detachment, their loving life. So this is really cool to see. Not just only the new detachment, though. I think there was Shield Host as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Was there a dread list?
I didn't have a look at the lists in detail. I unfortunately just ran out of time today between everything.
Either.
Yeah.
But either way, because those have a bunch of different viable detachments right now. Even with the nerfs to dreads, they also got a buff, so now they can move through walls in the charge phase. Some really cool stuff, and it's really good that they have a lot of life brought into them. So let's see how they play. Guard is still strong. They got a bunch of nerfs at Bridgehead while that's dropped off. There's so many cool viable detachments within the guard decks, namely Recon and Hammer. So they're out in full force, ready to play. Yeah,
it's important to note, even though Sister's got a buff, they're not present. And of course, AdMech as well.
Yeah. Poor AdMech players. They, in the last 4 weeks, they've been one of the worst win rates, but they always seem to do that right when the data set's already been written. Because nobody will play him now for 2 months, so the win rate will be fine. And then in the last 4 weeks, after the slate's already done, people tank him again. It doesn't work that way. So idiots. Yeah.
Cool. All right, jumping over to Chaos. There are 10 players for a 21.7% meta representation with 3 Chaos Knights, 2 Chaos Demons, 1 Death Guard, 2 World Eaters, 2 Chaos Space Marines. I forgot to order that properly. So, and yes, Glaves, it is correct. It should be 11. I believe I got... No, that's 10. 10 for Chaos.
He's playing because so look in the essence of doing what I can for the community without impacting morals. Glaves there has privately messaged me asking if he can play the new Emperor's Children. I said yes, only if they all count as losses, and he said yes. So he's playing just EC because he wants to learn the army, and every single game against him is a loss. So fair to say we won't put him on stream round 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's getting his army pushed right now, and it'll be really good for 5 people to get exposure into EC as well.
Yep.
For the event. So yeah, he's still gonna have a great time and fun getting his 5 games in. So it's awesome.
Yep. It does change Grey Knights to now only being 1 player because he was originally playing Grey Knights.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right.
So, but yeah, so again, really interesting spread. I mean, Chaos Knights are doing pretty well at the minute. 13 War Dogs just stat check. They just do things. When we get in,
War Dog spam either. There's a big boy in there, which is nice.
Oh, nice. Chaos Demons is interesting, and we'll get into the detachments a bit later as to why they're interesting. CSM as well. There's some interest, as well as World Eaters. There's some stuff happening. And then Death Guard is just staple Death Guard, which we'll see later on anyway.
100%. We know who the player is.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we come to the Eldari super faction. We've got 3 Eldari players and 1 Drakari player, making 4 players for an 8.7% meta representation. I'm not too surprised by this at the moment, particularly after the slate having some changes with, how Aziman works, some points increases, and a few other bits and pieces around the joint for them. I'm not too surprised. Also, the codex is, just over a month in the meta? So people might still be a bit behind on, hobby lag. So that's another consideration as well.
Yeah, I still think 3 is actually quite good, right? I mean, Astronautium is the second highest, Blood Angels are the second highest as well, represented, but they're still on 3. They're on 4, which is only 1 above it, right? So I think it's still a pretty good representation for them, given the amount of players that we are running. Yeah. I mean, they're on the faction podium, so there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Coming to Hive Mind, we've got 2 players at 4.3% meta representation. 1 Gene Stealer Cults, 1 Tyranids.
Good work, Chad Mag players. Way to play the factions nobody wants. Same with Space Wolves.
Yes. And then last but not least, we've got Xenos with 4 players for an 8.7% representation. 2 Orcs, 1 Necron, 1 Leagues of Votann. As alluded to before, there is no Tau.
Yeah, so there's no Tau, no Admech, and no Sisters for this breakdown. Which, usually there's 2 that you don't get seen. So pretty good to see that there is still a good mix. There's not something like blowout, except for Custodes.
Yeah.
That's a massive blowout, but aside from that, everything else is in a pretty nice zone.
Yeah, I'd agree. When we get into detachments, there is a few interesting points of discussion that we can have. But before we do, looking at the faction podium, Adeptus Custodes is number 1 with 6 players, making 13% of all players attending. Asher Militarum and Blood Angels are in second with 4 players each, making up 17.4%. And then Eldari and Chaos Knights coming in third with 3 players for 13%. Faction Podium makes up 20% of the players in attendance for 43.5% of the meta. Again, I actually like that every super faction, except for Xenos and Hive Mind, have representation on the podium. So it's a pretty solid spread.
That's good.
Yeah, definitely agree. All right. First up, we're going to jump into the Space Marine and Imperium detachments for you guys. Starting off with Blood Angels, we've got 3 Liberator Assault Groups and 1 Angelic Inheritors. So, Not
The
too
lag is
surprising.
real. The lag of the slate, right? No, I'm kidding. But lag is still very good. In
Yeah.
fact, what are they called? Blade Guard just got cheaper, and they're fantastic in Liberator Assault Group. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, Blade Guard are money now. Like they were decent before at 90 points. Now being 80, they're just golden in my opinion. I think they're really solid. Moving on, we've got Dark Angels, which has a Company of Hunters and a Lion's Blade Task Force. One for each of them.
yeah,
So
Lions Blade's coming out recently. People have been repping that. Obviously, that's the Grotmus one, but still getting a small contingency of people playing that, which is pretty cool.
yeah,
I versed it at the events. It was a great game. Me and Dave had great fun. We were looking at each other doing nothing to each other's armies, going, "Well, we suck," and it was a really tight game. So it came down to a lot of little specific roles and us doing very specific, really cool things.
yeah, nice. Love to hear that. Salamanders is up next, and of course we've got 2 Firestorm Assault lists because that is just thematic for Salamanders. Again, great to see.
Yeah, these are the best.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's still a great detachment. It's really good counterpunch. You build the list right. Well, strength 6, twin linked, ignoring cover, inceptors with double sustained hits as well, and +1 to wound because odes as well. So strength 6 +1 to wound means you're wounding vehicles on 4s twin linked.
Yep.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
You get your strength 6 flamers that are 4 rerolls to wound because of Vulcan. Insane. You have another strat for 1 CP for +1 to wound as well. Amazing. You have 2 different oaths basically. It's really high octane, high output, and the fact that impulses, which both the lists are rocking, with the Infernus combo, the way that I built it, will have a firing deck. So there's strength 6 firing deck in there. You can tag these Infernus and go hard, and you have no fallback and shoot. Now you're screwed. No, they can fall back inside the impulsor and then still shoot.
Yep. Enjoy.
You're gonna have to kill them. You can't just tag them. Like it's the reach here is actually pretty good. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, for sure. Deathwatch, of course, is Blackspear Task Force, where I've tried out previously an unoptimized, and I'll say this, an unoptimized Talon Strike kill team with bolt gun, assault bolter inceptors. You can get those guys up to -3 AP at 6 inches, an additional 6 inches of range with twin linked. They can kill some stuff. Like, do not underestimate Talon Strike with assault bolters, which I believe the Callan does have in his list. He does have a Talon Strike, but I can't remember whether it's assault bolters or plasma executioners.
Honestly, like the bricks in Deathwatch are very, very, very potent. So it's good to see. We don't have enough exposure of that in New South Wales.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping to bring that later this year. I hope. At least that.
That's it. You're in the GC. Let's do it.
Yeah. Space Marines, Gladius Task Force is meant to have a 1 there, so that's just your generic Space Marines. Glad, pretty stock standard. It is what it is. It's your flexible Marine list, as you'd expect. And then Space Wolves is Stormlance, because Woody has just been killing it.
He has. I think he's going to be a real good contender for a top placing here.
Yep, definitely agree. Getting into
a shout. This mofo, I'm not going to say the actual word. He went to Masters, went undefeated, and it just dropped day 1. And it was always his plan. He just wanted to dunk on a whole bunch of people, and he did, and then just left. He could have potentially won Masters. He could have. Like, he was in a really good spot, and he had a really good list that could also pressure the player who did win. So, what a Chad.
Yeah.
What a Chad.
Yeah. Then jumping into Imperium, we've got Adeptus Custodes up first. They've got 5 Lions of the Emperor and 1 Shield Host. So it looks like a lot of people jumping on Lions.
It's really good fun. I've played against it now. It's such a cool detachment. Fun and death on 2+ is huge as well. Especially when you +1 to hit, +1 to wound. It means that your output is just insane. You can't even neg 1 to hit them to put them on a 3. It's all hitting on 2s. It's just ridiculous. So they're very, 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 very good.
Yep.
And fun.
For sure. It's good. It's also good to see variety because I had a look at some of the custodes lists, and you've got some people have actually brought bikes in. Some people are bringing Aloris custodians. Like it's a good mix in terms of variety of units they're taking as well, which is great.
Just got a question. Are you ruling the +1 to hit the wound works on fight on death? Applies when the unit makes attacks. So if it's the unit making attacks, then the fight on death won't work because that's a model declaration. I'll be following that as per all the other ones that operate that way for the other traditional fight on death. So while it hasn't got an FAQ yet, we'll be following the general trajectory that the others have done.
Yeah, the precedent.
I will check it out though. I will read it just to be safe on that. And if I change my opinion, I'll make a quick announcement.
Yep. Too easy.
Event.
Next up, we've got Asher Militarum. There's 2 combined arms, 1 Hammer of the Emperor, and 1 Mechanized Assault.
Yeah. There you go. So you're getting the good spread. Like, they still have really good attachments outside of Bridgehead.
Yeah.
So good to see. They're still in a good spot. Other things didn't get dropped like much. And then they did definitely overnerf Science, but there's a lot of stuff that's very, very, very good still.
Yeah, 100% agree. Grey Knights is now 1 Warpbane Task Force, and Imperial Knights is 1 Noble Lance. So
yeah, that's it.
Not too much surprising there for either of those. Jumping in,
the Grey Knights did get a nerf recently.
Yes,
Warpbane because they cannot do the indirect with 4-year-olds to hit anymore. But there's definitely other tools in here that work really well for them.
Yeah, 100%. Jumping into Chaos, and this is where I'm going to ask Glaves to let us know what detachment you're running for your Emperor's Children, because I'd love to note that. Chaos Knights.
Coteries.
Okay. Not surprising if it's Coteries, because that's the strongest detachment. Yeah, he's just
there you go. You wrote Coteries. There you go.
Yeah, not surprised there for Emperor's Children, so we've got to add that in. Chaos Knights, 3 Traitorous Lancers, not surprising there. Their Grotmus detachment is
ongoing.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. Chaos Demons, this is interesting. There's a Demonic Incursion and a Scintillating Legion.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Pretty buffed now. He actually got a buff previously in the last slate as well before this one, right? Because you can now 6-inch deep strike and charge. Just nobody used it. And it's just gotten buffs and buffs and buffs with bellical changes and everything else. It's fantastic. It's a really good attachment. I'm really scared of it. But also Scintillating Legion's really fun and cool. And obviously Matt Morrisoli got a win with it at the largest event in Australia.
Yep.
So there's some really cool shit. I'm keen to see both of these and how they play and how they do on the weekend. Surprised there's not more players, to be honest. But it's cool.
Yep, for sure. Chaos Space Marines. Again, some interesting stuff here. The Fellhammer Siege Host has 1 player, and Renegade Raiders has 1 as well. So
yeah, I feel like there's going to be more Renegade Raiders coming up soon once Emperor's Children is properly released, because you can then ally in Noise Marines in that, and they are fantastic in it. So that'll be one to watch.
Yep, definitely agree. World Eaters, 1 Berserker Warband, and 1 Vessels of Wrath. That is important to know. I had a look at this list because I was like, what's going on here? What's in the list? No Angron.
Yeah. Because he doesn't get the benefit, I think.
Because it's just 8 bound that do.
Yeah. I don't really know much about this one, to be honest. So I'm keen to watch it. I'm gonna check out this person and the player and see how they operate with it, and hopefully learn a few things. It'll be exciting. Yeah,
it'll be good to see it get some play. And then Death Guard is Plague Company. Not too surprising there. So yeah. Then we're going to jump into Eldari, Hivemind, and Xenos. We'll kind of hit these really quick because basically it's going to be like 1 of everything. So for Eldari, there's an Aspect Host, a Spirit Conclave, and a War Host. So no Yunari, which is an important thing to note. But still, Aspect Host seems to play War Host and Spirit Conclave being the other more popular ones. It's good to see. Drakari, you've got Reaper's Wager, which I'm still very intrigued by players taking Reaper's Wager
I like it.
and over like Sky Splinter. I like the detachment too. I think it's nice and fun. It adds a different dynamic to Drakari, with the Harlequins in there, and the way that you can, alternate those buffs and really sequence it quite well. Kind of reminds me, funnily enough, of how the Emperor's Children core rule works, and you're sequencing with that. So yeah, I think it's a really cool detachment, and players are seeing some good fun with that.
The best part about this is that this detachment got better because the Eldari Codex came out. Because Harlequins got hella buffed.
Oh yeah.
They're in a really good spot. So being able to just like send in units with just devs and making them stronger is just really nice. And the amount you can launch them out and do things, and has a nice, kind of suite of tools, and you have Void Weavers, and everything else. It just works out well. So
Yeah.
I like that people are using this because it seemed like a genuinely solid list for people to run as soon as Eldar Codex came out.
Yeah, for sure. And having played against Harlequins, you're 100% on the money with them getting a massive buff, because my Death Watch have been on the receiving end of Matt Lane's Harlequins, and goodness me, when you get out of position and they just dogpile you, it is a bad time.
Yeah, and the speedy little elves, so yeah.
Coming to Hive Mind, you've got one Host of Ascension, and for Tyrannid, you've got one Crusher Stampede.
Yeah, so the Crusher Stampede list only has 6 data sheets in the whole list. It actually has the name. I think it has only 6 data sheets alone.
Nice.
Didn't even run any of the lictors, near lictors. Nothing. It's just all monsters. It's great fun.
Yep. Then for Orcs, we've got 2 more DACA lists.
What a surprise.
Yeah. DGJ in chat just saying DACA taking 1, 2 at 3 at the biggest super majors over the weekend. Yeah. 1 in the UK, 1 in the US. All top 3 were DACAs, and yeah. So I said this in the Team New South Wales Discord. I would be surprised if they don't hit it the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So be prepared, Orc players, for that to see some changes. Then for Necrons, you've got 1 Awakened Dynasty, which is cool. It's good to see players going back to that core index detachment, and seeing play outside of, going to Star Shatter or going to what's the other one? Obsessence Phalanx is the other one that's seeing a bit more play over Hypercrypt.
Yeah.
And then the last one is Leagues of Votann. You've got your Oathband, which had some tweaks, where it just goes cool. The 4 units you get to pick is now 2 a detachment rule, 2 army rule. So that's just a slight like technical change. You still get to pick the 4 units in Oathband. So no functional change for this detachment.
Yep.
So
that's it.
That's it for like the breakdown in terms of like the detachments and everything. I still think it's a pretty good spread. Of course, lots of folks in a chat, cries in DACA from Crivens and Calcutta being like, I know I want to see a wave of more DACA swarming the top 8. Lots of comments about DACA, so 100% guys, we fully get it, and agree. So let's jump into talking about some lists, and if my lists decides that it wants to work for me and make sure, there we go. Sick. We've got the first list up for you guys, chat, and this is Adam Woznosky running Adeptus Custodes with the Lions of the Emperor detachment. To run through his list. Yeah, I thought let's pick out some of the ones that are running the new ones. I've also got the detachments open on another tab, so if we want to actually jump into, reference what each like enhancement does and such, we've got that available because players might not be super familiar with it, considering this is the first event in New South Wales where it's going to be used. So we've got a Blade Champion with Superior Creation. Now what this one is start of the fight phase. No, sorry, wrong one. Superior Creation. First time the bearer dies, it can be set back up on a 2-up with full wounds remaining outside of engagement range.
Yep. End of phase, it comes back as well.
Yes. Yeah.
leap. So you cannot just keep attacking and allocating into it.
Where is it? Yeah, end of phase. So yeah, 100%. Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle jet bike with the Admonimoritus. Now this one is +3 strength to melee weapons and +1 damage and AP. So that's going to be your full send captain in combat. Then you got Trajan Valoris as the Warlord making his way back, which is good to see. He's got 4 Custodian Guard with spears, a unit of 2 Allurus Custodians, a Caladius Grav Tank with the Arachnus Heavy Blaze Cannons, 2 units of 5 Wardens with the Vexilla, 2 units of 3 Virtus Praetors with salvo launchers in there, and a single unit of 5 Witch Seekers.
Yep.
That's a very interesting list.
Yeah. Balanced, feels good, has a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Just works.
Yeah, it's good. Like, obviously, the detachment rule is when, non-vehicle units, if there's no other friendly units within 6 inches, gets +1 hit, +1 a wound. So it means that, you can kind of spread out your units and not be within 6 of each other and get a buff. And be able to go, I'm just going to stand here and just deal damage. Which I think Custodes do need.
It's a fantastic detachment. Also being able to go, hey, this Warden unit is doing Warden things as per normal, but now it can also just for 1 CP get plus, so for 1 CP on a 2+, 5 in depth. Things like that just work out really well. So, super cool detachment. In fact, you also have a reactive move after being shot, which is also good to help their durability.
Yep. The other one that's important to note is you can also reuse the Blade Champions once per game advance and charge a second time.
For 1 CP, yep.
So that's going to be really, really solid to just go, cool, I'm going to advance and charge.
You can do his Moment Shackle, or whatever it's called, twice, which is very good.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other thing as well, you could also... no, it's only characters. It's only character models. And the reason why I wanted to check that is because you can't pop then the Feel No Pain on the Wardens twice.
No, not at all.
So, yeah, really solid list. And a lot of the other Custodes lists kind of follow a bit of the same pattern in terms of like some of the things they include. So that's really solid to see. Then the next list we're going to look at is Mr. Andrew Sherman. Now, he is running...
Go on the YouTube link, surely.
I've got no idea what this is, so I am going to...
If he's linked to what the ones that I usually do, then it's fantastic. Check the link, it's PG.
Let me paste it in a muted tab so it doesn't play for you guys, just in case it's copyrighted, and I'll see what it is. Oh, yeah, I know, yep. It's Blood Ravens. It's a Blood Raven video, so yeah. It's a mod on Space Marine 1's Titus, it's a Blood Raven.
Minus 10 points for Sherman then. He's not fully...
Yeah. All right, cool. So he's running Salamander's Firestorm. He's got Volcanistan and a lieutenant with combi weapon in his characters. He's got a 5-man Assault Intercessor squad, a 5-man Intercessor squad, a 6-man Inceptor and a 3-man, 2 3-man Inceptors. The 6-man and one of the 3-mans have Assault Bolters. 1 3-man has Plasma Exterminators. Okay. Lost Crusader, I will have a look at the name of the list, and yes, okay. Yes, this is the Salamander's army. Well, not really, but it kind of is. Well, it used to be a Salamander's army until they crossed paths with Blood Ravens, and the Blood Ravens just stole everything. They even stole Vulcan, so it's Blood Ravens army now.
Vulcan's pretty easy, because he hasn't, he's a small model still, so they just, probably just, pick him up, and he's just like, hey, and then they just take him, right? So yeah. he's just like a little, he's the same height as a Scutari, so, yeah, it's very easy to steal him.
Just classic football carry?
Yeah, pretty much, let his legs kick.
Yeah.
That's the head count of how they did it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So he's got 3 units of 5 Infernus Marines, continuing on with his list. 2 units of 5 Scouts, 2 Predator Destructors, 2 Storm Speeder Hammer Strikes, and 3 Impulses.
Yeah, now check the things. They all have Iron Hail, Sky Talon arrays.
Yes.
So going more output variation for the impulses.
Yep. I'm not familiar of the buff on the Hammer Strikes, because normally we see they strip cover.
Yep. Yeah, I used to run triple. Now I run double. They're fantastic at 125. The most important thing that you need to know with these is that outside of Indicators, they actually have the highest floor of damage of any Space Marine unit in the
yeah.
They are insane. So they get, as an example, they get 5 lots of D6 damage or better shooting, and then they still have 2 lots of D3 damage as well.
Oh, that's savage.
The caveat is that they're strength 9 normally, which sure, you're wounding, most vehicles on fires. However, in this attachment, you have assault. You move 14 inches, you get +1 strength when you're near them. So you're now wounding on 4s. But hey, let's not forget you also have a 1 CP strap for +1 a wound, or you have oaths. Now you win it on 3s. That's when they become very, very, very potent. You also have 4 heroes to wound with the melter, and it's 3 shots with their melter, the melter destroyer. So it's fantastic. Things like that just help and go a long way.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they also strip cover, and the guns, well, they have 2 guns at a 36-inch range. So you can, or 1 gun, sorry, that's 36-inch range, I think.
Yeah.
So you can still take things from fire and strip cover. They work fantastic with these Inceptors as well, especially the 6-man. With Oaths, they are an amazing combo. But even without them, they're an amazing combo with Predator Destructors, who also become Strength 10. He also can get +1 a wound. And now you strip and cover at AP2, and they become Terminator Destroyers. So things like that is all about these interesting synergies and combos that you can do in this list. So yeah, that's how this plays. And then still, you're backed up with advance and shoot, and then advance, disembark, then shoot in Infernus Marines, who can be inside the Impulsor, so they can move up to 18 inches, then disembark, which is then 21 inches moved technically. Then they have a 12-inch flamer.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah. Very, very, very mobile, very aggressive, but also has the long-range firepower when you want it as well. That's able to give your stuff buffs, so you're not having to throw everything at your opponent's face.
Yeah, it's just the fact that you can go in their face with 6-inch deep strike everywhere and that crazy movement, or you can play passive.
Yeah.
The opponent, you just see what openings are there and you just go for it.
Yeah. It's important to note that Andrew did actually play on the final table at the Hunter GT against Jordan. So he's actually someone I'm going to keep an eye on this weekend.
Yeah, 100%. He came second. What a chat.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next up, we're looking at Mitchell Corrigan's Eldari Aspect Host.
He also did exceptionally well, by the way, at the last event. He was an absolute champion. In fact, if it wasn't for the pod at the end, he would have been in the top placings. So
awesome.
Great to see him when he just came back into the hobby. And his Eldar are phenomenal. They're beautiful. I'd love to see them on stream at one point.
Yeah, for sure. So what he is running, he's got an Autark with the Mantle of Wisdom, Janezar, and Lycus. He's got a unit of 5 Corsair Void Reavers, and then 10 Storm Guardians with double Fusion, double Flamer, double Power Sword. 2 Wave Serpents in there with the Bright Lancers. He's got a unit of 10 Dark Reapers, Falcon, 3 units of 5 Fire Dragons, 2 units of 5 Howling Banshees, 5 Rangers, 5 Striking Scorpions, and then 3 units of 5 Warp Spiders. And that's the list.
A lot of MSU. It's really cool. Requires, expert play to make this work, and it's great to see.
Yep. The one thing that I'm not too surprised that isn't present in the list is Azaman with Dire Avengers. But Azaman did get some tweaks. Of course, his once per game anti-infantry 3 up is now anti-infantry 5 up. So that could be impacting his playability in the list for Aspect Host compared to some of the others.
And it's also the fact that he's running so much MSU that he doesn't need these bricks. He's definitely playing a different game to the Asman combo. He didn't run it pre-nerf. He didn't run pre-nerf either.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right. So it'll be exciting to see. So another one to keep an eye on for the weekend. So that'll be cool.
The event is filled with people to keep an eye on.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Our next list is going to be Richard Hill's Death Guard Plague Company. And this is an interesting list, and I like the direction he's kind of taken it. So he's got a Death Guard Sorcerer in Terminator Armor, Mortarion, Tallyman, and Typhus. He's got 10 Cultists, 6 Death Shroud, 2 Fetid Bloat Drones, a unit of 3 and 2 units of 2 Mythic Blight Haulers. And then he's got 2 units of 2 and 1 unit of 1 Beasts of Nurgle, and 3 units of 3 Nurglings.
Mm-hmm. There's a bit of meat in this list. The Beasts of Nurgle now have Scout as well, just so nobody knows that. They're still amazingly high toughness. Then you have the Blight Haulers who are also kind of operating in that similar fashion. So you have these like meaty things that you still have to kind of deal with, that elite things don't want to go for it, and also your anti-tank doesn't want to go for it because it feels a bit weird. But then you start to deal with them. It's a really cool list. I like it. I think this is like a really good amount of allied units that he's brought in as well. So it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, I like it as well. The two, game plan wise, the 2 Beasts of Nurgle can easily push the mid objective or natural expansion. The Nurglies can do some solid screening or come in deep striking your opponent's backfield. The single beast is great for deep striking, because it's only on a 50 mil base from memory, I believe, or in the range of 40 to 60.
Yeah, beasts are on a 50 or 60, one of those two.
Yeah. So it's screenable, but a single base means you have to commit a decent portion to just screen that out, right? The Mythic Blight Haulers actually bring a lot of firepower with the missile launchers and multi-melters, which is very surprising. Like, it's something that I know when you play against them, it can catch you off guard, just the amount of shots they can output.
I will give away one tactic here that people probably know, but it's most likely that he's because of the plague, rule that they have in the aura, the contagion. Neg 1 toughness means that these multi-melters are actually pretty potent. They're basically +1 on wound against anything that's within the contagion. So surprisingly good output.
Yes, certainly. Death Shroud are more than likely going to be going with Typhus, and they'll just be a big melee threat. And then you got Morty doing his thing, as he always does. So yeah, that's kind of pretty straightforward. I mean, you could also have the Sorcerer in with the Death Shroud as well as another option, or it could just be a 70-point Deep Striker to go and do secondaries. There's completely different options there. So yeah, a really flexible list, but it's got some tank to it, which is nice. Then the last list is Tim Sunderland's Orcs Mordaka. Ladies and gentlemen, I had to look at least one of these Daka lists and talk about it before they got pre-nerfed. Before they got nerfed, not the pre-nerf, sorry. So Mordaka, sustained hits 2 on all the shooting, and then during the war, I believe it is your units gain the assault for infantry and walkers. So it's only sustained hits 2 on infantry and walkers, and only infantry and walkers get the assaults keyword on their ranged weapons during the war. But importantly, it's good to know that means you can advance, shoot, and charge, which is kind of cracked. Getting into his list. Oh yeah. He's got a Beast Boss, Big Mech with Shock Attack Gun with targeting squigs. Now, what this one is +1 to hit for the bearer's unit. A Big Mech, and then another 2 Big Mechs with Shock Attack Guns. One of them also has dead shiny shooters, which is Rapid Fire 1. So they're going to be higher output from that Big Mechs unit. And then Zodrog Wartsnagger, which is an absolute mouthful of the name. Basically Super Grots, to put it that way. If there is
in one CP, it's fantastic. So yeah.
Yeah. He's got 10 beast snagger boys, 4 trucks, 2 units of 5 flash kits, a unit of 20, and 2 units of 10 Gretchen, 10 commandos, 3 units of 10 looters with their def guns and 2 custom mega blasters, a unit of storm boys, 5 storm boys I should say. You've then got 1, 2, 3 units of 6 tank busters. And that's the list.
So all DACA baby, except for the Snaggers.
Yep.
And Snaggers is amazing in this because there's a 1 CP trap for 4 heroes to win in melee.
Yep. So you've got a little bit of countercharge threat with them.
I will note that you don't get the sustain 2 with the shoot back strat, and you don't get the sustain 2 with Overwatch. It's only in your own shooting phase. So just remember that, everyone playing against this, because otherwise that would be absolutely bonkers.
Oh yeah. But yeah, the output from
sorry, trucks are also way too cheap. I've been saying this for ages. I think transports as a whole should go up in the game, but trucks are so cheap. Yes, and yeah, as Tim says, if I inject trucks, also don't get sustained too. Doesn't matter; they're still too cheap.
Yes. Yeah, so I think the 2 big units that really benefit from the sustain 2 in Tim's list is the looters and the tank busters, because they just already the looters just put out so many shots base, and then getting the sustain 2s is just doubling their output, which is
genuinely triples their output because they hit on 6s. So because they hit on 6s, unless you get the benefit of heavy, which should never happen, they're tripling their output right now, which is huge. But then they also have other strats like lethal hits that have ignore cover, things like that are going to be very scary. And on top of that, you can also have the SAGs, as what they call them, the shock attack gun mechs, who are now going to get the 4 heroes to hit with theirs as well. And every 6 is 2 extra hits. They have a 60-inch range gun. That's AP4. Yeah, it's very good output. So yeah.
And even though one of the shock attack gun with the big mech with shock attack gun with the targeter squeeze could be put into one of the looters units for +1 to hit as well. So you're getting more hits. You're hitting on 5s still as well. So you're getting a little bit more. But, of course, hitting on 6 is always to just go, yeah, cool, I'm just sustained 2 all the time. It's like, it's kind of cracked.
And 4 heroes to hit as well. That's great. 10 points a model.
Yeah. And then, you got your scoring pieces in there. You got your CP generation in Gretchen. Like, it's just a really, really strong detachment. So it's not surprising that they are seeing play.
The list was very quickly worked out, right? You'll find that a lot of lists are going to be on a similar structure to this, if not the exact same.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very good list. I'm very excited to see how Tim does.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. All right. Well, with the lists covered, are there any shout outs you'd like to make, Alice, before we wrap up the evening?
I'd like to shout out my sponsor for this. You would have seen it before, Hungry Jacks. I was drinking this and doing product placement, so I might as well get paid for it. No, look, shout out to the community. I think that's the one I always say. It's a bit of a cop out, but yeah, shout out to the community. They make this great, and while I stress about this stuff and it annoys me sometimes, I don't want to do it. I keep coming back to it because, firstly, it's a sickness, but secondly, I love the community, and that's why I do this.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I know the community appreciates it. I definitely appreciate it. And so, yeah, it's always great to have, yourself, you run great events. And so, yeah, it's great to have more events around the joint that you're jumping up and running. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for this evening. I want to thank everyone who has joined us in chat. It's been absolutely wonderful to be chatting with you all. I hope you are all doing, well for your evening. And hope you did enjoy the tournament preview for the Sydney Autumn GT. We'll be streaming all 5 rounds over both days this weekend. I'll be on commentary over on the ATWN's YouTube channel, not here on Twitch. So if you aren't subscribed to us over on YouTube, the link's in chat for you. Head over to Linktree, head over to YouTube, drop a subscription over there, and you'll be able to, find out when the tournament coverage does go live over there. Also, if you did jump in halfway through with this tournament preview, we'll be posting up on Thursday over on our YouTube channel as well, so you'll be able to catch that there and you can watch the full thing. But yeah, Alex, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your week. The week of the tournament can be a bit stressful, so I really appreciate you making the time to come and have a chat with me and talk about the tournament.
No worries. Happy to be here, and let's have 5 rounds of custodes on there because there's too many of us on the stream, right?
Yeah. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are, and I hope to catch you on the weekend for the live coverage of this amazing Sydney Autumn GT. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm ScottyD, and I hope to catch you on the weekend. See you, team.
Castores.